Hey, Pat, you're all set.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 16th meeting of the Village New Paltz Planning Board. Tonight we have some administrative business to attend to, followed by one public hearing and three application reviews. To begin with, is there any updates from the Environmental Policy Board or Shade Tree Commission?
The Environmental Policy Board, again, failed to meet quorum. Seeks new members, is gonna try to schedule another meeting. The Shade Tree, has expressed an interest in being more involved in planning board, and reviewing our applications. And they'd like to get, copied on everything and, have a chance to look at the trees on all the properties that we are about to, that we're that are under our review.
Yeah, and they're welcome to submit their comments to us just from Unicolab files and.
Right, but they want to be informed, or they want, like, I don't know what the best way to do that is, to put them on the e-list or put Neil on it, or I think he's the chair.
Yeah, we can forward more stuff to them.
Yeah, they talked about the various tree inventories that were being done and, or had been done, and the, size of the trees that people are allowed to cut. And of course, once the person cuts the tree, there's nothing they can do about it.
Right.
And they express some frustration with, not being able to follow up so well, because people will agree to plant a tree and then lo and behold, they haven't planted it. And so they were expressing some frustration with that.
All right,
Okay.
thank you. Are there any updates from our Director of Planning and Zoning?
One update, the village board has approved the hiring of a part-time clerk for the planning, zoning and building department. One of their jobs is coming to these meetings and sort of taking over the part. I will still be coming, but they'll be taking over more of the administrative part of it and doing the minutes, which there's not enough time to do these days. So we have an Indeed ad out for that. We've had about 20 applications and we're narrowing it down at this point. So possibly by next meeting, but probably definitely by the meeting after that, some of them will be classified as the clerk for the three departments. That's really all I have from the town planning board. They have a minor subdivision on North Ohioville that they're reviewing, and they're also beginning to review Dunkin' Donuts application that involves the old
Shows.
So
And we're gonna tear that building down.
I haven't looked, there's nothing in their Unicolab that shows any of the plans or not, so all I know is what I've read in the newspaper. But I know there is an application in Unicolab, and just, they don't include all the detail like we do, so. Those are the two things, and
Okay.
That's all I have.
Next, do you want to talk about this policy to allow applicants to attend?
Nikki had asked last month, and I agree, it's a good idea, so I put this together just a discussion, because I realized I sort of threw it at you guys at the last minute. So this would allow any planning board members, subject to the New York State Open Meetings Law of when they can and can't participate via Zoom. Any village staff members, the board's attorney, any board consultants, and then from the applicant side, the applicants, their attorneys or their consultants would be able to attend via Zoom. Only if they have let us know ahead of time, so we can recognize the phone number and recognize who the person is.
Mhm.
This came about because the village board decided after several times of being Zoom bombed that they would no longer allow the public to Zoom in. It's a courtesy thing that I was extending, I don't disagree, it's a good idea to have an official policy, so I put this together. If anybody has, if you wanna vote on it, if you wanna think about it, if you wanna make any changes. Whatever people prefer.
No, I agree with this. This all sounds good to me. I don't-
Yeah,
I
it
don't
makes
have any
sense.
changes.
People have asked me about that too.
Yeah, let them know they can always watch the meeting on YouTube in real time. They just can't make comments. They would have, if they wanna make comments, they would either have to email them, attend in person, mail them. There's many ways they can get comments to us. So,
Yeah, I'm fine, and my only concern had been that it be memorialized, and this works for me.
okay. So if somebody wants to do a motion and a second, we can vote on it then.
I move we accept the policy as written.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll send a copy of this to the clerk and the village board, so they're aware of it.
Okay, moving on then to our public comment section. Is anyone here tonight, to make a general public comment? We have our public hearing on the, dispensary application after this. This is just general public comment.
I have 3 people signed up, Matthew Hirsch.
Try to make this as brief as possible. As you know, I'm Matthew Hirsch, I'm at 8 Drive, just east of the Woodland Pond project. I just wanted to make a couple, personal feelings made known before I move on to, more focused issues. In the videos that Woodland Pond puts out aimed at their residents, they, call us small but vocal neighbors and have said that we don't have much of a leg to stand on since it's a mixed-use property. We don't have a team of consultants, but I just want to make it known that we're going to be heard. The traffic study seems to be, solely based on the, George Danskin closing, which is not any certainty. They've suggested that the residents are elderly and driving frequently, but at the same time, the videos are sort of, make it clear that it's intended to attract more active and mobile residents that would be further away from the main campus. And the videos are also acknowledging that they already have parking constraints on their existing campus, so the expansion is inevitably going to generate additional resident, visitor, employee, delivery, service traffic. And I'm really concerned because it's being discussed like this closing with George Danskin is a known certainty, and it's not. Secondly, I'm troubled by the visual impact analysis. They made renderings from my property, and those renderings include trees and vegetation that do not exist and have never existed in the 14+ years that I've owned my home. This is easily verifiable. Because these visual impacts are such a significant consideration in evaluating the project, I just request that the board come look at it and not rely on the accuracy of these renderings. And third, I'm really concerned about this arsenic contaminated soil and the pesticides, because the plan says there's going to be testing and monitoring, but you know, they're going to catch that after my well is potentially poisoned, and you know, there has to be more plans than testing and monitoring. And lastly, I'm not going to go into too much detail here because I've mentioned it before. I'll just say I respectfully ask Woodland Pond to stop referring to the buildings as 30 feet or less when there are areas that are as much as 42 feet high from the nearby ground levels. And once again, I just ask the board to scrutinize the, you know, all these traffic impacts, visual impacts, groundwater, zoning compliance before making a determination. Don't rely on some of the information that's being presented as fact. And as someone whose home is 150 feet from the building and 5 feet from the, you know, the lines, I have substantial interest in ensuring that they're objectively evaluated. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You want to submit that, or is that what you're reading?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The next is Allison Boyer.
Yes.
Got it.
Thank you guys for doing what you do. I have, two letters, one, for me and a very short one on behalf of another community member that couldn't be here tonight. So mine is in response to Woodland Pond's June 2nd, 2026 response letter to some of the concerns we've raised. First is their, description of this project as modest two-story residential buildings compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. A roughly 100,000 square foot building and its accompanying HVAC, noise, light and traffic, which still requires height variances, is substantially different in scale and character from the adjacent neighborhood of 2,500 or so square feet, single family, two-story homes. Regardless of the words used to characterize the project, these institutional structures will be significantly larger and taller than neighboring homes that define our neighborhood's character. Because of the ground level parking garage beneath the residential floors, neighboring residents will perceive these structures as substantially taller than the adjacent two-story homes. I ask the board to evaluate the project based upon its actual height, mass, and visual impact rather than Woodland Pond's description of it. Second, I remain concerned that the applicant has not fully addressed whether this wetlands constrained parcel is appropriate for development at the proposed scale. Woodland Pond's response to requests for reduced density alternatives does not provide a meaningful comparison of environmental impacts among reasonable alternatives. Instead, Woodland Pond largely asserts that its preferred design is the best option. SEPA's purpose is not simply to justify a preferred project, but to evaluate whether less impactful alternatives could better balance development objectives with protection of surrounding neighborhoods and environmental resources. And lastly, to Matt's point about the arsenic contamination, the proposed development site sits at a higher elevation than the neighboring residential properties, and my home, as well as all of the homes next to the site, we rely exclusively on private wells for drinking water. So therefore, even a small risk of groundwater contamination warrants careful independent review. Woodland Pond states that a soil management plan will be implemented during construction, but the application lacks sufficient information to demonstrate that excavation, grading, and other soil disturbing activities will not create risks to groundwater or neighboring wells. So before granting any approvals, I respectfully request that the board require independent review and clear documentation demonstrating that private wells and groundwater resources will be protected throughout construction and long-term site operation. That was me. My neighbor, two members of the village board, we have sent numerous letters expressing our concerns about the definite impact this project will have on our street. In the interest of brevity, we would like to address Ms. Grimoglia's letter dated May 28th, 2026. The level of entitlement being displayed by Woodland Pond has become increasingly troubling. In particular, Woodland Pond's response to concerns regarding the lack of affordable housing. Their position that because they are not required to provide affordable housing under the current village code, they have chosen not to do so. While that may be their legal right, it's difficult to reconcile that argument with their simultaneous request that the village overlook or modify other provisions of the village code that do not serve their interests. Woodland Pond should not be allowed to selectively rely on the village code when it is convenient and then argue that those same standards should not apply when it doesn't help their bottom line. If the code is worthy of being enforced when it supports their position, it should be afforded the same respect when it does not. Simply put, they should not have it both ways. So, yes, Simone Edwards. And both of these are uploaded to the planning board site. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
And the last speaker signed up is Stacy Powers.
Good evening. I am also going to talk about the Woodland Pond expansion. My name is Stacy Powers. I live at 2 Lot Drive. I've written several letters regarding this project. They're long. I'm sorry. I know you have over 1,000 pages of documents to look at for this project. I'm going to try to give you a mashup of my last 2 letters to give you a sense of what we are most concerned about. My point is plainly this project, I would like you to consider that this project is too big. It's too big for this site. I understand that a continuing care retirement community may be allowed in the PB district. using a special use permit. But that doesn't mean that every version of that use is appropriate. The board still has to look at this specific project in this specific location at this specific scale. And so the scale is the problem here. It's being characterized as a few residential buildings. It's a 24-hour satellite campus connected to a much larger Woodland Pond operation that employs well over 200 people and contracts with approximately 100 vendors in the immediate area, according to their social and community impact. The Commons building next to our neighborhood is not just apartments, it's also an activity and service hub with shared gathering areas, classrooms, a kitchen, a bar lounge, multiple amenities, including a golf simulator, a concierge, mail, trash areas, garage access, loading, and maintenance facilities. That piece of the building is located at the closest point to our neighborhood. As kind of use creates real operational impacts, deliveries, trash pickup, maintenance vehicles, service providers, snow removal, staff movement, visitors, emergency access, and noise. They're not side issues, they're part of what special use permit review is, as I understand it, supposed to review. This is all new for me. Woodland Pond often refers to us as a small but vocal group. But I would propose to you, we only seem small because they're so big. Lent Drive has 5 homes. You are hearing from all 5 families every time we come here. We all live on the Lent Drive full time. We all have kids who we have raised here and have gone through New Paltz schools or are currently there. Almost all of us are home during the day because we are self-employed or have desk jobs, caring for children, or enjoying retirement. I only know of 1 adult on our road that actually travels to go to work. So we are home all day, every day. The years of all day and weekend construction taking place at a distance of about half a football field away from our neighborhood will be devastating. So my request is simple, please just keep asking your great questions before making a decision, especially about the special use permit. Please require all these environmental documents that your engineers have asked for. Please consider a full operational intensity analysis. And please evaluate the actual size, massing, and function of this commons complex building next to our neighborhood, as it will be experienced by the people who live next to it. A special use permit should not be granted just because a use is generally allowed. It should only be granted if this project at this scale on this site meets the criteria. I don't believe the current record supports that finding at this time. Thank you.
That's all right. Is that separate from what you emailed already, or is it?
It's just a combination.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here that'd like to make a general public comments? If not, then I'd like to move on to our one and only public hearing tonight. Could I get a motion to open the, well, actually, it was previously open, so I don't think.
Yeah, you don't have to have
a motion.
You just.
There's nobody said.
Okay. So is anyone here, here to make a comment on PB 2609-13 Cladkill Ave? Okay. If not, then could I get a motion to close the public hearing for PB 2609?
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to our first application view, could we have PB 2609 come up, please? So down here, how more? How's everybody doing? Good. Um. Let's see. After last meeting, there were a few items that we were going to look into. We had some questions. I was wondering if Lori, you could just give the board a quick recap of the things you looked into and yeah.
Yeah, sure. Wild, oh, is this the applicant's lawyer?
Yes,
Okay. No worries.
okay, your timing is perfect.
Yeah.
We just closed the public hearing. so-
Oh, perfect.
Yes,
That's
so, yeah, I was just gonna mention that since last time I did attempt to contact the Office of Cannabis Management, just to, look into those enforcement actions against them and wasn't able to find anything. Also, that's not really relevant to this application. So basically, we are good to approve this. Again, as I mentioned last time, there is a risk to the applicant that if their license is revoked, then, obviously this approval does not stand. Because, in order to be a cannabis dispensary in the village, you need to have a license. So that is a risk that the applicant is, choosing to take, but our board is, we are in the position to move forward if that is, the board chooses.
And we also did check on our own, the distances.
Yes, yeah, we did look at the difference.
Yeah, I verified the distance between this property and the big gas property is greater than the 2,000.
Yes, and also just in order to even be in front of this board, the provisional license that's already reviewed by the Office of Cannabis.
And I confirmed on the cannabis site that the provisional license is in place for this property for this group.
Yeah, I did as well, so, yeah. The person who was complaining that was saying that it was too close. They gave their address as 7 Main Street, which is,
That's a different situation. That is a current
It's
Article
different.
78 between that person and New York
Right.
State. New York State has not recognized that
it's,
as a license.
right,
But I also verified the other comment that was made by the owners of Big Gas, that they
Okay.
are closer than the 2,000 feet,
No.
and
they're not.
they were incorrect. It is greater than 2,000 feet.
How much greater?
It's about 2,500.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
All right, did the board have any other questions for the applicant this time?
I'm just out of curiosity, is it a C application, SEE, the, social and economic equity?
No, it isn't.
It's not,
No, it is woman owned. No,
but you didn't get it through that through the,
no, the license was not, it's not a social equity license.
Oh, I thought that was
Yeah.
the way it was presented in the application when we first had the
It
presentation.
was assumed that women are diversely owned was fall under SE, but I was incorrect.
Oh,
Yeah, it is a woman owned and it is a minority owned, but it is not, according to the, a social equity, a social and economic equity license is a specific category issued by the Office of Cannabis Management, but this license does not fall under that designation.
they have like a Venn diagram which they use to explain it. Like,
Really?
yeah, I did.
Alright. Was that all, or did you have any?
No, I was curious about that, but it doesn't matter to us. I was just curious. And your application, they are chosen by lottery, is that correct?
Yeah, it's not as straightforward as just that, but it's.
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
that's really
Just-
relevant.
Just dying to know, but
Okay.
okay, no, we're good. It doesn't have, it's good. Random sequence process.
There's a randomized aspect to it. I can answer questions about it, just.
Sure, but it is
Unrelated to planning board.
definitely not have to do with the order in which someone applied for it.
Right.
Well, I think then at this time, I'm ready to authorize resolution of approval, so. Could I get a motion to authorize our attorney to prepare the approval resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So we will get that, we'll get a copy to you to review, and then at our next meeting, we will vote on that. nothing changes.
Meeting is July 7th.
We don't, in order to start the preparation for the space, he can start improvements on that property, and he can't open. Right, until it's the final planning board.
I mean, that would be more of a building
Yeah,
department
they
thing.
should contact building department if you want to start doing internal.
Yeah.
improvements.
We'll do that. Okay,
Anything that is allowed, just in general building would be allowed.
okay. Mhm.
Great.
All right, that's all. Thank you all very much, and I apologize for doing.
Next up, could we have PB 26-10, 191 Huguenot Street? Hello. So since we last were here, we were before the HPC and we got their letter. Let me see, just pull it up here. I guess the main thing that they were recommending would be, they were suggesting you change the plan to be a 2-lot subdivision. Did you get this letter? Did you read over it?
I was there, we talked about it,
Okay,
so it was,
great.
I probably got it in email.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. There were some concerns about preserving view shed. Concerns about tree removal.
There's a copy.
As well as some of the, materials on the driveway and such. And I think they noted importantly that even after the subdivision is granted, you would have to go back to them for site plan approval to get that certificate of appropriateness when you're building the actual structures. So I guess the first question is, based on this, do you have any changes to your application? Are you planning on making any changes to your application?
I wasn't really gonna make any more changes until we hear back from these agencies that you, I guess, notified. Like, I don't know how much work to do on this until we know that there's gonna be an actual subdivision. It's just for me, there's a cemetery across the street. There's that little graveyard way in the back. People have been living here for, I guess, thousands of years, really, so. I don't know how much time we should spend on this until we know there's gonna be all clear to really start
At
the
this
work
point,
of subdivision.
sorry, at this point, you've heard back from all the agencies.
Oh.
Just the HPC involved.
Yeah,
Oh,
at this point.
I thought you were doing the SHPO as well.
Did you finish your?
I thought somebody mentioned.
Because it's not, they really don't want to deal with exterior.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
if,
Okay.
sounds reasonable.
And we don't need archaeology on the graveyards?
Yeah, I think that was why we had actually talked about maybe.
Well, that's
I know that-
addressed in the
I
automatic.
can understand not wanting to move forward if there's an issue with the graveyards.
Yeah, I mean,
but wouldn't that have popped up in
It should have it in the original.
I think it did.
I thought it
I
did,
did.
I thought somebody looked at the EAF and it was listed.
I think it was, but.
okay.
I found the people buried there in an old book that was in the house.
How long
I'm
was
glad you qualified this in the book. Didn't know where that was going.
it? Did we?
No, yeah. Well, I found where they were.
Did they leave the piano there?
Piano's gone. It's very heavy.
It was beautiful.
So I don't know, they got somebody to take it.
Wow.
How long does it usually take for SHPO to respond?
It's difficult, it's actually very difficult to even try to get information to them these days. They made it incredibly hard.
Did you leave all the plaster inside or did you coat it with something?
All the plaster's gone.
Oh,
It was a cement-based plaster, so it had been replastered. So it wasn't, there were bits of the original plaster, but most of it was like a newer.
so you took out all the shelving that was installed in the,
It was all the way down to just the rocks and the beams.
wow.
And then we replastered it with like a lime mortar on the inside, and then we have, a lot of exposed stone in there, but
I suppose since this is just the subdivision, as long as we flag it to make sure that any subsequent
Yeah,
proposals,
I
you know,
think that
are
makes
referred to
sense.
SHPO, I think that, that's when it really is essential.
Yeah,
Because, this subdivision itself won't really impact.
Right, but he's only subdividing it so he can put houses on it, so if we can't put houses, there's no point in subdividing, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, that is true.
Right.
Although that would be part two of the review, like it wouldn't, that would give us another opportunity to refer it to SHPO. It's up to the board. I
Did
think,
the HBC?
You should know.
I mean, he's citing that, that significant time, energy and resources to move forward and to do it and not know. I think it's only fair to know if
Yeah.
that's gonna be a deal breaker.
yeah, I think that's true. So, I do believe we should refer it to SHPO. And I think that was maybe discussed last time, but we can, obviously
Yeah,
get that
but-
done.
I mean, it's not going to require a lot of more consultants to complete the subdivision. Wouldn't you rather have your subdivision and then waiting for your,
if you go through the whole thing and then you find out
yeah,
there's 500 people buried there or something, be like. My thinking was that I would consult, Joe Diamond from New Paltz and say,
I was
what do you know about this place?
yeah,
What can, at least see what he can do and what his opinion is.
You may be able to find some of your own information through the library. I'm told by Tom Olson in the HBC that the library has very detailed records on these properties, so.
Yeah.
Probably more than SHPO's gonna have.
I'm sure they have a lot, because he was trying to get it registered before he died.
that house.
The guy that owned the house
But
before,
we're talking about like the land in the
Right.
back,
right, but he had them over there looking at everything.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to start a building and then you find something and now.
I think given that, I think it's best to refer it to SHPO. probably. What does the board feel?
But I just am not confident that we're going to hear anything back from SHPO for
I can,
quite a while, if ever.
yeah, I can try and maybe, I can also check if Tom may have a direct contact there better than.
And Joe may have some.
Because with SHPO,
Yeah, let's try.
with SHPO, all you do now is you enter it online and you cross your fingers and.
Yeah,
But if you wanted to, look into your own resources or ask people at SUNY, then yeah, we'd be very interested in that.
Yeah, I was
Result
looking
for that.
for some initial roadblock. Before the highway surveyor and an engineer and all these other people to start doing
Right.
what they do. Find out,
I'm-
look at this, and then you spend $8,000.
Right,
When,
especially if it's a graveyard, that.
So,
No, it's okay, like you've got some marked, but I'm sure there's a lot of unmarked.
it seems like SHPO could be a resource if they're willing, if they're able
Yeah.
to get back to you. But if not, I don't think that we want to maybe hold up your approval. So maybe we can refer it to SHPO and, hope for a response, but,
yeah,
does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to know as much about this as possible.
Okay,
And I don't mind hiring Joe Diamond to do a consultation,
Yeah,
whether it's just paperwork or he comes out and looks at it and, yeah.
Have you been out there with the metal detector?
The guy who was working for me was a big metal detector guy, and he was out there all the time, and he didn't find much. He found a bunch of pennies, I guess they used to play baseball back there, so he assumed like all these pennies were falling out of the kids' pockets and he just. But, I mean, he may have found something really good and never told me.
all right, well, I guess the only other issues, that you are probably already aware of, so a variance would be required for the accessory garage to be closer to the street than the principal building.
No, I gave a new map to Mike. And
Oh,
it just
no.
showed, it just
He
shows
removed
the,
those and just is showing a building envelope. And there's plenty of room there for a, house and garage if he chooses to put it there.
Okay,
You know, the actual location would be set at site plan, but this is the building envelope, the new plan, which I presented you guys a small copy of it. I have a bigger one here if you want. So,
street, yeah, we,
yeah.
yeah,
The only question that still remains is we would need, prior to issuing a subdivision, because it's not, connected to the village sewer system, would be either a certification from the Ulster County Board of Health, preliminary certification, or a letter from a licensed engineer that's stamped and signed stating that what you're proposing can house two in-ground septic systems.
and just, you know, I did the 2 lots because what, I thought that was like the most you could do, but our plan, we had the discussion that the, design review board was to do 1 lot, you know, like 1 house right in the back. And that would be it.
That would be better than two.
So that raises the issue, I mean, let's assume there's 2 lots there, so if you do 1 lot, that still leaves.
Yeah.
Way down the road, that still leaves another lot there. I don't know if that needs to be dealt with or. Cause our personal plan, which, you know, may or may not work out is. You know, it's a big house and my wife and I were thinking, well, we'll build a smaller house and live in the back. So it's a smaller house, a smaller lot, and that's a fairly large house. It's not really a retirement house per se.
I can't imagine what it is.
so I mean, that's really up to you, whether you wanna do. You know, 2 lots or 1 lot, that was just a recommendation from the
Yeah.
agency, it's not something that is a requirement, really, you know, your choice to make, I think the outstanding issues then, are what Mike just said about the engineer's letter for the septic. And we need to discuss the recreation fee that applies to the subdivision.
Pam said it did. Because
It does, yeah, you can, recreation fees can come about 1 of 2 ways, either when a subdivision happens. They're billed based on the number of lots that are created. And then when the homes are constructed, there's no recreation fees charged then. If somebody's coming in pre-established lots and building new homes,
Yeah.
then they pay based on the structure, so. In this case, because it would involve subdivision, there would be a recreation fee for the, either 1 or 2 new lots.
Yes.
Depending on which way he
Right.
decides to go.
Okay, so I think as a board, we should just go through this really quickly. We have to evaluate key questions. One, is there a need for recreation areas in the village, including improvement of existing recreation areas?
Yes.
Yes. Two, will the new residential units for this project increase demand on the village's recreation facilities?
Yeah.
Yes. And three, can suitable parks or recreation areas of adequate size to meet this demand be located on site?
No.
No, so. Then could I get a motion recommending the. Recreation fee be applied in an amount set by the village board?
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Sorry.
And so. There's also, we could begin to, move forward with the. Environmental assessment form part two. I mean, I believe we have. Almost everything, with maybe one section would need to wait for the engineer's letter. Mike, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I would agree. It's the short form that's included in your packet, and it's blank right now. I assume the board might want to go through it, so. The only one that I see, which would potentially be moderate to large, in my opinion, is number 8.
I just do have one note, before we go through the,
Yeah, there's a copy.
declare status as lead agency. And
Yes.
then also, if you don't mind, I'm just going to mention a point of law really fast. It's number 2.
Okay, so first, can I get a motion to declare the planning board as the agency for this application?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then what was that?
Yes, so I was just going to say that, because this is less than a 4-lot subdivision, it contains no new streets. It is not subject to limiting physical conditions such as shallow depth to bedrock or extreme wetness. The planning board is waiving the requirements of section 178-22 and permits the subdivider to furnish the information specified in 178-23C1. And this is permitted by the village code. I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Okay,
So that they've already looked at it and we know that it's, the depth to water table is less than 3 feet and the depth to bedrock.
I suppose if you want to, look closer at those issues, we can.
I was just curious.
We are doing the expedited subdivision review already, so this is really just kind of like, memorializing that is what this board has been doing, because the code does provide for an expedited subdivision review, based on the provision that I mentioned, so if you want to look more closely at the bedrock, that's something.
I mean, it would be, that's shocking because of the farmland and the existing and pre-existing uses there to
Yeah.
think that there was.
Right.
Yeah, that was what we felt as well,
Right.
so, but yeah, I mean, if that's.
There's an old well there, that's, the water's probably 8 feet down.
Okay.
Really rain a lot.
okay, then I think that we should just quickly go through the part 2. So number 1, proposed action creating material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations. Let's say no, on fact. Number 2, will proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of land. Small impact, I would say, not, it's a residential use anyway. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Again, I would say no.
There's subdivision right next door, it's the same basic layout.
Or will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of critical environments? Now, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in use of energy and fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Small impacts. 7, will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies? And these are well. Not on town water, and.
It is on town water.
Oh, sorry.
On town
not
water, it's the septic.
septic. Okay, interesting. Well, I would say still small or no impact.
You're right.
And then B, public-private wastewater treatment utilities. Mike, do you have, do you think we should wait here?
Well, my opinion, based on it's a 1 acre parcel and a 0.81 acre parcel, that it would be small impact.
Okay,
You know, it is very feasible in that amount of land to be able to do septic in some manner.
okay, I'm fine with that then. 8, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? I would say that, the subdivision itself won't, but obviously. When we do the site plan, we will be. Evaluating that, so.
Right, and when you're doing seeker, you should consider the total action, because even though he's not applying for a site plan now. The anticipation is that it will be
So would that be a moderate?
Small.
it's the board's call, if you can leave it blank for the moment, and as long as you get an answer before you close, as long as you answer it before you close the public hearing, you're fine. So you could hold on that answer till we get more information. One way or the other.
Okay, I guess we can. Wait until we hear the public or get public input. 9, will proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? No. Thanks. 10, will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
No. And lastly, 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No impact there, I would say. Yes.
One thing just occurred to me, so if you wanted to rate number 8 as a moderate, that doesn't automatically create a positive declaration. You could still do a negative declaration. Just in the part 3, you would discuss the steps the board was gonna take. I don't know if we agree with that, Lori, or not.
Yeah, we would have to put in language for mitigation.
Yeah,
Which,
yeah.
I think we'd have to also.
It'd
consider.
be good to hear
It'd
what
be
the
good to
public
get
comment
answers,
is.
Yeah,
Okay,
I can see if the HPC has any answers or any knowledge of that, because it looks like they didn't discuss it at all. Maybe I could see if they have any answers on that.
yeah, let's leave it open for now and we can address it next time. Would you recommend at this time then setting public hearing, or should we wait until we get?
I would say you could set a public hearing, you just can't close it
Yeah,
until you decide.
Yeah.
Could I get a motion to set the public hearing then for our next meeting on, what is that, July 6th?
July
7th?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and we will send you those materials, of course, if that doesn't work for you, if that's too soon for you, we can reschedule it.
Sure.
But
And we'll proceed
Let us
as
know.
if it's a 3-lot subdivision at this time. If you decide to change it to a 2-lot, we'll let you know. There's nothing to say that during or even after the public hearing, if you go less, it's.
Yeah. All right, so we'll set it for the 7th and then,
And I'll send you all the information for the notice requirements. You'll get that in email from me.
Thank you.
All right, that's all for tonight then. Thank you. Next up, we have PB 2611, 13 Academy Street.
So
I
My name is Justin, this is the architects for Harlow and Mary.
pull the chairs up and okay. Thanks.
For 13 Academy Street.
Great, can you give us an overview of that project?
Sure. The Carl and Mary have this, and do we have any of the photos?
Yeah.
I think that's a whole. They have this two-story house, it's on Academy. Do you mind if photos are very helpful. So the house is on the very top left. And it's a two-family house currently being rented. As you can see, it's original to the property. You guys know how old Yeah. So there is an accessory sort of garage barn building. It came from zoning board. They've given us a use variance to allow that to be an apartment building. An apartment in that building. And we are also proposing and had proposed to the zoning board as well to have there be a single story addition so that it would be the right size. It's quite a small building. So that's what we're doing and we're here. What we need to be.
Okay. And do you have a site plan? You just have it there.
Yes, and there should, we have, these are equal to each other, right? So they're all, we have the survey. These are some images of the structure itself, including the proposed addition to it. And then, we had. Make sure we're not covering up the microphone, because you're not gonna hear anything if we do that. It's okay. I can slide it to the side a little bit. And in here is a side plan with the proposed. Condition document. Great. Is that helpful? You want it?
Yeah, no, that's
That's
fine.
okay.
Okay. Some combination.
So the zoning determination required a use variance because in the B2 district, to have residential on the first floor, it must be ADA compliant. And because of the size of the space, they were unable to comply with that, so they sought a use variance from the ZBA. There's a copy of that decision that was approved. And so now they're here for site plan review to build the addition on the back side of the structure.
I see, okay, and so you also got the variance for the side yard setback?
It wasn't needed, it was a misunderstanding because it was in the B2 district, the side yard is a 0 setback, so. It was a misunderstanding of whether it needed, the ZBA thought they needed one. And it was determined it was not needed.
Okay. I don't really have any questions. Does the board have any questions?
We need more living space, so
Yeah,
This
this
is
that
more
looks
living
like a
space.
nice,
not tearing anything down, they're not cutting down any trees. They're not adding any more parking. They're just changing it to an apartment. Why not?
okay,
Be on the zoning board.
Yeah, we just have a note here that the referral to the design review board is not required because the project is residential. So there are a couple things we can do at this meeting here. First, can I get a motion to classify this application as type 2 under seeker?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And we could. Can I get a motion to set the public hearing for our next meeting, July 7th?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do you feel that possibly you can authorize a decision if it feels that simple to you? And I don't want to set precedent, but if you feel like it's straightforward, you can.
Yeah.
Do you expect any angry neighbors to come to the public hearing?
We already had a public hearing with the BBA and it was.
Okay.
Nobody should.
Yeah.
Somebody came. One
sure,
person came, but for different reasons. They weren't neighbors.
Yeah, I'm comfortable authorizing the resolution, so could I get a motion to authorize the preparation of the resolution approval?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we will get you those materials for the public hearing and see you next month.
And so just what you guys just did is sort of like informally approved, but we're doing a public hearing. I didn't quite follow the.
I'll write the resolution and then they'll vote on it next time.
I see, got it.
Yeah, we'll hold the public hearing, but if there's little issues that come up with the public hearing, so normally we don't do a decision until the following meeting, but in simpler applications,
That sounds great.
we assume there'll be little, if any, controversy, and we have a decision ready just in case.
Just in case, I love it. Thank you.
So you potentially could walk out the next meeting with a decision.
That sounds great.
And if you can leave me any of those hard copies, I probably have some already, but has anything changed from the various?
A little bit.
Okay, I better get your copy.
You want full size or get some?
You have the small for now, when we do an official approval on the full
Yeah.
size, so I'll take this for now.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Next, could we have PD 2601 Woodland
Can
Pond?
I just ask something?
Yeah.
When we're talking about the fact that this was revised since last summer. It's not revised the last time we saw it,
Right.
last spring. Yeah.
Although I guess that would be a good place to start. Have there been any changes since the last meeting where you presented the scaled back, the larger revision?
No, from the last meeting, we just supplemented with additional information. Overall, there's been no substantial changes to the design.
Since we saw it last.
Correct.
Right. But some of the submissions responded to some of the questions you guys had last time about like the fascia of the retaining walls and things like that. That's what I printed copies.
Yeah, let's pull some of this information out.
So, Mr. Chairman, we do have a small presentation to walk through to answer some of those questions that came up in that. That's okay. with the
Okay,
board.
great, yeah. Please.
So we just wanted to start with, I should say, Roberts, Director of Capital Projects and Campus Development at Woodland Pond. I wanted to start with our mission because that's really why we're here. To strengthen our mission, which is to create the best community we possibly can, but also to expand that to as many people within our community, and we take that very seriously. what I want to do, I've had quite a few public comments, and so I'm just going to address some of those comments just to answer some of the questions that are coming up. A lot of these issues were addressed in Michelle Vermolya, our CEO's letter to the board on May 28th in more detail. But I wanted to talk about them here in case you have any questions, but also, to address them. Also, in light of the comments that we've seen made by your consultants, on behalf of Village, we hope that the board will vote on opening here in the next meeting or next month, so that we can continue the dialogue with public comment and keep that engagement. My first comment is about affordable housing. We've had this come up a few times. As you know, Woodland Pond is excluded, we're explicitly excluded from the affordable housing provisions of the code, and the New Paltz Village Code. But I think more importantly, Woodland Pond doesn't sell or lease housing. That's not what we do. We don't sell or lease residential real estate. We offer a healthcare product. It's embedded with an option of long-term care insurance under New York State public health law. So what that means is that we are regulated by, as a CCRC, overseen by the DOH. There's actually no mechanism under which we can provide affordable housing within what we provide. In terms of subsidized housing, I'm going to address that. We don't offer subsidized or supportive housing. We do offer housing subsidized by Medicaid where we're allowed by New York State. And that's in the skilled nursing facility. It's the only place we're allowed to do that. So 1 in 4 new long-term admissions are required to be offered to an individual on our Medicaid waiting list. So it's subsidized by Medicaid. And just to give you an idea, the last couple of years, or this year to date, that means 18% of our people enrolled, people that were admitted to the skilled nursing were Medicaid, subsidized by Medicaid, and the year before that was 19%.
Medicaid or Medicare?
Medicaid.
Can you explain how 1 in 4, which to me says 25%, and you just said 18 to 19%, so I'm not sure I understand it. I think I want to just round, I think the comment that came wasn't just that you are or are not allowed to have affordability provisions. I get that you have regulations. I think it's the overall concept of this applies to us, we can't do it, but this shouldn't apply to us. It's the big picture of saying we should have exceptions to the code here, but we're gonna abide by them here, was comment that I heard. That's what I'm at.
Yeah, sure.
And I think it's a fair comment, but when I'm not a math person, I don't understand big complicated numbers, but I do know 1 in 4 is 25%, and I know that 18 to 19% is less than 25%. So that's what I don't understand.
So the requirement is to be offered to our Medicaid. So 1 in 4 means that it was offered to some Medicaid recipients who didn't take that up. And so that's how we ended up with a 19%, which is essentially 1 in 5.
How are you offering it to them? I mean, they have to sell their house to get in.
No, that's for skilled nursing. And so, and I'm not aware of the actual particulars of that, but that is for skilled nursing in our skilled nursing facility.
Right, but you don't get admitted into skilled nursing. They won't accept anyone into Woodland Pond who has any kind of visual impairment or mental impairment or any of the things that happen to you when you get old.
Well, that's not entirely.
That's not true? Okay, that's what it says on the website.
So I will also want to address this misconception that New Paltz residents can't afford Woodland Pond. And this is something we hear a lot, and although our residents do come from the local area, certainly from, if not Ulster County, mostly from the surrounding counties. So what we find generally is that, to your point, a lot of residents liquidate their private residence to fund the initial entrance fee.
Yeah, it looks
And
like.
so
it's
what this slide shows is, and it just compares the average home value or median home value to starting entrance fees, right? And it shows that, you know, there's a, you know, the average home would cover the entrance fees quite easily to Woodland Pond.
Can
The-
you break down what the difference is between starting entrance fees and entrance fees? Is that a range of 347 to 514? I don't understand, math is not my strong point, but average, median, starting, average, I don't understand the apples to apples here.
So they're both starting entrance fees, both the minimum and the average. But it just shows that, so what you do when, and look at the line above, so we have, depending on people's circumstances, we have customizable contract types. So you can choose whether you're going to get nothing back refundable after a certain number of years, or you might get 75% back after a number of years, either, you know, upon passing or if you terminate the contract, right? And so there's many ways of writing the contract to adjust to people's needs, right? So that's why the starting entrance fees, you know, vary, and also depending on the sort of unit that you want to be able to have. Because, you know, we have a range from 1 bedrooms to 2 bedrooms cottages.
So 347 is the floor.
Yeah.
514 is the average, and
Yes.
it could go up from there. I'm just trying to
Yeah, that's
understand the
right.
numbers that
Yeah,
are being presented.
Yeah, yeah. So that- Yes,
Okay.
exactly, yeah. And I think it's also important to note that we have no termination clause in the contracts. And what that means is that Woodland Pond assumes the risk. So if a resident is unable to pay their monthly service fees, we can't terminate the contract based upon that. So that no termination clause expressly prohibits Woodland Pond from terminating the residence and care agreement for a resident's inability to pay. I think that's really important too.
I think when you can go back. I think when you look at entrance fees, are they established by law, regulation? Or is that just a business decision?
That's a great question. It's not, I don't know, it's not established by law, but, you know, there's a marketplace.
There you go.
And we exist within this area too. So it responds to, you know, people living in this area and what they think.
However, you've stated that your inability to provide affordable, let's use a broad definition of affordable. That is limited by law. I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Oh, they're exempt, but technically they could still provide affordable.
Yeah, I
housing.
guess
Although
that's
I
the point.
respect the points you made about, you know,
The-
long
I mean,
permits
yeah,
and things like that.
Is there been any thought at all to perhaps lowering the starting entrance fee to make it more affordable for people? Some people, maybe 5%, maybe 3%, some.
Yeah, well, as I say, we're not, you know, we're a non-for-profit, and so we can only carry so much for, you know, and go as low as we can. In order to stay viable. We are heavily regulated by DOH and also DFS. So DFS are advisory to DOH, and what that means is that we have to have a certain amount of cash in hand. We can't go under that, and other regulations to make sure that we remain viable.
So I think what you're saying is you choose not to do
Well, within our legislation, starting, what you find is that there are many CCRCs in other states.
CCSCs for the general public who are listening.
Continuing
Not
care.
speaking just to what.
I'm sorry, continuing care retirement communities. And so, but in New York State, there's less because we are really heavily regulated. And it's, challenging, honestly. So,
I'm really, really sorry, but that statement is very hard to square with the fact that it's a nonprofit, so the tax structure is differently. This is not, these are significant fees, set aside average median home costs because actually the cost basis of the home could vary and everybody doesn't have that. But at the same time we're saying this, we're saying we need to add 81 units, but it's so expensive. I'm just having a hard time understanding is this next set of units necessary for the economic viability of what's existing? Or it's a nice to have, I'm not understanding that.
Is that the board's role to determine? I think we should be evaluating this in terms of
But I think,
seeker and,
but it comes to the point of it's exempt, the point was raised in public comment. Is this, we're saying we can't do affordable housing, we're exempt from affordable housing. The question is it a choice? And then you say, well, it's a really hard business to be in, then
why is that the question?
I do think maybe Zach has a point that if we do discuss it, we should tie it to mitigating an impact.
Yeah.
But I also think that, you also make a very good point that this is a concern raised by the public and, if there is mitigation to be had, then that's a discussion with the board.
I'm just trying to understand. Is it a choice or is it a regulation? Because I think the board is saying, the public said, you're asking for variances and exceptions to other village laws. While at the same time saying we can't abide by these things.
The only variance is
Is the height.
the height variance.
and really,
Caused by the park
yeah,
underneath.
Okay.
so the choice there is really, if we want to not have that height variance, which, we'll go through.
Yeah.
It's normal, it means not having parking underneath, having greater disturbance.
More hardship
Right.
in the ground.
And,
Right.
and not having that buffer to the neighborhood, so. That's,
I
That's
prefer a
just
little
the
height
fact
and
of
more
life.
asphalt, sure.
Nope, there.
If I could just point out, if this board as a body thinks that law should be looked at by the village board, you could, as a body, can certainly make a recommendation to the village board that they take a look at that. And they could review it with their attorney and decide. But this board doesn't have the ability to require it or anything like that. So I'm just pointing that out. It's a good conversation to have, believe me, in terms of the seeker and the community impact. Absolutely, but I'm just suggesting that if this board believes that should be considered, the best thing to do would be recommend that to the village board, which is completely one of your roles.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
tax exempt financing, I mean, there was another issue that was brought up, what that meant, so, we qualify as a 501c3, so with the IRS. So what that means is that it allows for borrowing at a slightly lower interest rate. And in exchange for predetermined contributions to the community. So under the UCCRC, the Ulster County Capital Resources Corp, the requirements are set to receive a tax exempt debt. And there's many requirements there, but the three we've listed here are job creation and maintaining those jobs, and adherence to Ulster County Living Wage Act, and a preference given to Ulster County vendors and contractors where possible. We have always exceeded those requirements and all the requirements that are set out by the CRC.
Is it still Sodexo that you're getting the food from?
Yes. So with regards to the pilot, so we were approved by the New York State Public Health Council in 2007 for a 100% real property tax exemption. And at that time, Willam Pond voluntarily entered into a gradually increasing 20-year agreement to make payments to the local municipal organizations. And as you can see, over the last couple of years, that means something over $1 million, and that increases by $50,000 every year. So that current pilot is set to expire in 2029. And so we are evaluating the predicted exemptions, and we expect to, we want to be fair to the New Paltz community, and we expect to enter into the same kind of agreements, to discuss, pilot up to 2029. We'll be doing it well in advance of that expiration. I should also mention that we also pay market rate property taxes on new structures and parcels that we've acquired, during that time. So we built more cottages, so we pay, regular taxes on those, and also on the land that we purchased.
But you are applying for a pilot for this new expansion.
That's what we expect to do, yes.
Right.
Yeah. But this, the new expansion is, gonna be, the completion of the expansion is gonna be around that, 2029 time, so.
When the other one expires.
Exactly, so, this will be part of the negotiation, is how we figure out this thing together.
I'm curious, what other land, you say you purchased new land that you're paying full taxes
Well,
on?
we bought the new property in order to do this development,
Uh-huh.
so we're paying taxes
on the two parcels.
And then there's, as I said, there's the 3 cottages, 6 units that we constructed a few years ago that we also paid, for them.
Those were, okay, those weren't.
I'm sorry, but why would a 501c3 corporation have to pay property taxes on property that you buy?
Well, until we negotiate a pilot, that we will pay those taxes.
Well, except for the pilot sense, which is like the basic definition of a 501c3.
My impression of a 501c3 corporation in New York State is you are tax exempt. Am I missing something?
Well, until we evaluate the entire pilot again, that's what we do.
Okay.
Those taxes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the question is why would you have to evaluate a pilot in the first place, right?
No, I mean, my understanding of businesses in Ulster County can apply for pilot payments. For whatever they can apply. And that's fine. And look, if you're paying the taxes, that's great. And Mike, we don't, again, unfortunately, as a village, we don't have any say in the determination of pilots.
Yes and no. There is a public hearing held. Anybody, and it's held in that municipality. If it's offered by Ulster County, I don't know, is your current pilot from Ulster County, or is that something that was negotiated? The community can do and I can't remember the exact title, but the community can basically do their own agreed upon pilot within the community.
Yeah.
But I believe this one is through Ulster County,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
So it was a 20-year pilot. If a new one is applied for, they would go through the process. The community doesn't have a say, but they have the ability to offer comment. Sometimes it has succeeded in changing pilots. Sometimes it hasn't. But I also think, Carrie, your comment about 501(c)(3)s, I think you're only exempt if you apply to be exempt. I don't think it's an automatic exemption, so. But I could be wrong on that.
And just the last thing I wanted to address was the use of emergency response resources. We've had some comments about that. We strive to cause as little impact as possible. And in order to do that, we've adopted an extensive mitigation plan. Michelle's letter from May was more extensive than this list, but part of the mitigation plan was we spent $750,000 on voluntary investment in advanced sprinkling and fire detection infrastructure. We do mandatory training for all staff on resident fall responses. We've added a third overnight security guard and 24/7 registered nurse. And so what we've seen in the last several years is a drop from nearly daily calls to 2 to 3 times a week typically. So we've seen that.
Wow, that's still a lot. That's a lot of calls though.
To the ambulance
Yeah,
They're nearby.
and the fire department, or just the ambulance?
that's both. Well, yeah.
So you have your hospital that you have on the premises doesn't take care of emergencies.
No,
And when you said something about your acceptance of Medicare, this was the question I had before. Or you said Medicaid in the hospital that you have on campus, I guess. That had something to do with your acceptance of people who were, that was an affordability issue. But I know that in order to get into Woodland Pond, you have to pass a test. If you fail the cognitive exam, or if you fail the test that they give you, they won't let you in. So no one comes into the hospital. They end up there after,
well, as I
no one
said,
comes in needing care, actually.
well, we do direct admits to our skilled nursing.
You do?
Yeah, well, that's by, we have to, like I say, we have to offer 1 in 4 admissions offered to an individual and then on the Medicaid waiting list. If they're on the Medicaid waiting list, we have to offer that.
Right, well, Medicaid's before 65, so you're talking about someone who's. You're talking about someone who's under 65 with a medical issue, and you're saying 1 in 4 of your admissions are fit into that category?
Yes, so I can, if you have more questions, I'm not.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I want to answer the question completely for you, but I'm not the best person to do that.
Okay,
But I'm very, very happy to do that. If you email me, I'll get the right person to respond to those questions. Because honestly, I think these questions are really important for everybody to know, for the
Right.
community to know, to understand. Because there are misconceptions about
right,
Woodland Pond out there. And, I invite people to come and take a look, and at the moment, we've got a lot of construction going on, but I've been there 2.5 years. I absolutely love being there. It is a truly committed group of people, both on the residential side and the staff side. It's a great community, and I invite people to come and take a look.
no, it's a very nice facility, I'm not disputing that.
Yeah.
It looks like a hotel, but as far as affordability though, I don't buy it. It's going.
Well, I always say I'm up to my eyeballs in librarians, and Woodland Pond is, we have a wide range of retirees and people who aren't retired as well, people from the arts, people who are professional singers and dancers, and all sorts of backgrounds. And I think that's one of the things that I think people know.
Yeah, no, I
So
agree, it's a good.
if we can provide more information, certainly.
Yes,
like-
I'm very curious about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, yeah, you'll email offline and we'll share that with the rest of the board.
Sure.
Was that all?
Yeah, that's all for me.
Move
Sorry,
it.
we got a lot here.
Yeah,
I'll go as quick as I can
great.
to go through it, because I wanted to answer some of the questions that you had before. this here, we asked for a context a little further out here. As you can see here, Woodland Pond, the main site, has a lot of surface parking on it. The intent of that is to minimize that footprint with the buildings and the parking under by putting on the Commons building and the hybrid building with below grade parking to further reduce that and keep more of the green infrastructure that is there. I just wanted to go back to a couple things. This is a PV district. In that district, we have research facilities, wholesale businesses, through special permits, hotels, life care, instructional use. Residential is not permitted in straight up homes and subdivisions in that district. So this is that, what is as of right, so to speak, other than going through the special use criteria to make sure it's the best thing which we're trying to do and accommodate. It is a use that is intended for this district. It isn't a use that is trying to be put into a district that isn't already zoned for them. So one of the comments that was brought up was, the access and the road. We are fully committed to closing George Danske.
Okay,
That is part of the application. It isn't something we're looking to go back to. The reason the traffic study is focused on that is because that is what we want. You know what I mean? And we feel that, and Woodland Pond has felt that will help eliminate any of what is now traffic that comes in and out. We tell deliveries where to go, but they can come in and out a different direction. That all goes away. So the length drive becomes a private drive again. You know what I mean? The way it is, only for emergency. By doing that, we're gating it, and we're also reducing the pavement, so it's not something that it can go back to the other direction. So we are taking it from 24 to a minimum width of emergency of 14. So again, taking rid of some of that excess pavement that's there that we don't need.
great.
That's there.
Well, this is one, I just want to say, that this is one of the, when we first showed our proposal to the neighbors, almost a year ago, this was one of the primary things that they were concerned about. And they asked about closing the road, and so we responded with that. It's fairly unpopular within our resident community, but I think it's important to lessen that impact. And so, I feel like we've responded to the community by doing this. But we also have with our attorneys, we have a legal path towards doing that.
Would the residents of the Commons building be using for advancing private roads that the residents are? I don't know if that's standing.
The George Danske is the private road, but that'll still be there as access to the new Commons building. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
will the residential road
Length drive?
Land drive be used for the residents of the Commons?
No, not at all. No, it's only, so when you, Lent Drive will have a sign, will change it to a dead end at the end of that street.
Okay,
So that when you.
and that'll be exclusively emergency.
Exclusively emergency vehicles.
Like heat access. Like the
Correct.
only way the emergency vehicle gets through the gate is like.
Yeah, no deliveries, nothing like that. Through there. And part of that too is in the world the way it is, trying to bring all the public coming on the site through one central access point gives Woodland Pond a better understanding of who's coming and going and that type of thing. That was also part of that. We have a full turn access onto North Putt. It helps eliminate some of the traffic that goes into the village for shortcutting to go around the traffic. So that's why we designed it in the way we did. The hybrid homes would have a direct access onto North Putt. And there is no vehicle access from them to the rest other than hopping out the North Putt and going over. But there is an extensive shuttle type that is why the connection road is being put in. So, as we've said before, we're really not changing anything to what you've seen before. So I'm gonna kind of move through these quickly because I know the board has a lot to do. This is what you've seen before. We don't really have any changes here. The heights of the building still remain the same. There are limited areas of the buildings that are exposed, and it is what would be the west side of Commons Area B, which is, as noted in one of the public's comment letters, 42 feet. on that side, but that faces the other building, because that side of the building is at garage level. So it's tiered. So, if we start at George Sanskin Way, the only section that is of height is from the access drive of the maintenance to the garage, you can point that. From there to the corner of the building south. All around the building to the south and to the north is 30 feet. The grade comes right up to the first floor, all the way around. So it's 2 stories. But in order to get into the basement, we have to go down to that basement level. On the commons area B, the one side that it faces the other building is all at the lower level because of the grades coming across. We have to stay down at that parking garage. We can't come up to the other level in there. So that's the 2 areas that are pushed down and why we're here for a variance. We'll be requesting a variance.
Wait,
ZBA. Sorry. So one of the things I wanted to point out, and we talked about this before, we really did a lot of work on the landscaping in the supplemental area in the buffer, as supplemental plantings. You'll see in the renderings that Amy will talk through, there's existing, when we did the renderings, we are talking about including the proposed landscaping in those buffer zones. So while there might not be a tree there today, where we are intending to put trees are shown in those renderings. That's why it may not look exactly the same way of what's there. One of the things that we also would like to entertain and talk to the board is knowing that the project is going to take time to start construction, and typically landscaping is done at the other end of the construction. Woodland Pond, irrelevant of this project being approved or that, is committed to helping work on that landscape buffer. They'd be willing to put forward and do that landscaping upfront when the board feels we are allowed to go do that. So we can get it established so that, you know, as construction starts, there's more landscaping is planted, because we're not going in there during construction. So,
But does the board need to approve the landscaping plan? Is it because of the scale, or what would stop you from just doing that now?
we have an active application from the planning board. We're technically not allowed to do any site work to a project that's.
Which is why you can't
Correct,
fix the drive-through until you get.
correct,
Okay.
correct.
We've referred this one to Shade Tree, correct?
We can,
Yes,
it's not within 20 feet of a village, so they have.
No, but they
Yeah.
know a lot about trees. I just, you know, about our choice of tree, the choice of trees and all that. It's just.
Okay,
It's
and we have
reassuring.
a landscaping consultant that we've referred it to. So.
It's with a landscaping consultant?
Well, Capital, our environmental consultant.
I think if you have a specific question about some of the trees, then we should email them and ask them like specific things about the trees. In a certain,
I don't always know what to ask. I mean, they're really good at saying, oh, this is a healthy tree, or this is the type of tree we want to plant.
so then we can just ask them if
Yeah.
they think that these are.
Yeah, like maybe just ask
Suitable
what
tree
they think of the
selection.
species and, you know,
Yeah.
what to be reviewed. And obviously that would be advisory, it would be binding on this board,
Right.
but I
So-
expect.
The way we look at it is if we can plant in the fall, then we would have 3 or 4 years growth there before the development is completed. And we'd be happy to escrow that, whatever that cost is, in order to make sure that it's going to get planned, and we'll do that at risk.
That sounds like a great idea, and I think we would support that. Yeah, so everything is.
Yeah.
Right.
Turn over to Amy.
Okay, so this is a rendering that we've submitted before previously. It's just showing the view downlet drive and the proposed in comparison to the existing residential. Just to show that it is consistent in height and scale. The rendering also shows the proposed and existing landscaping so that you can see that view and what that would look like. Looking down Lund Drive.
Is there a gate shown in that, or would there?
It's kind of out of view. It would be like down here.
Yeah, I see.
It's around the one right there, yeah.
Right.
So when we were last in front of the board and we received obviously public comments at the last meeting, there was a request to, submit additional renderings that show leaf off conditions as well as night conditions, and we did both leaf off at night to show, worst case scenario of what the development would look like in these upcoming views. Nicely done. So again, I just want to point out the height and the scale comparison to the residential dwelling, and as well as how the structure and how the architectural design is consistent with the residential structures, as it takes traditional elements from the neighboring residences. Also, that the lighting proposed is dark sky compliant. It's directed downward and shielded, and the bollard lighting along the pathways is also low level bollards. So this is just a couple more views.
So, this view here, albeit, completely, generated from photos that we have from aerial photos and that. The photo on the left was a photo taken by myself towards the, Drive property number 8 in the winter. And what we did was superimpose that in reverse to understand what the tree density looked like from the backyard. So it is not a photo standing in the backyard of exact trees in the exact spot, but it is in reverse, looking at the trees there from what we saw in photos and taking from that.
So the one on the left is a legit photo, and the
Correct.
ones on the right, both top and bottom, one's night, one's day, are AI generated.
Not AI, but yes.
The software that's created,
Correct.
the renderings, and the other images use, publicly available imagery in combination with the software to create the rendering.
And these both show the proposed trees that are being planted, the evergreens that don't exist there today on the property
Right.
at low level, at planting height.
Yeah. Okay.
So on the hybrid south, we can see in the buildings, nothing's really changed here. I want to just talk about the back of the building, if we can just up throw it again. Same landscaping that we did before. This one doesn't have the existing trees that are in there, so it's more of a continuous planted buffer to the property to the south, through the stormwater area and up to the building. Should switch on. Keep going. Let's get to the wall. So, one of the questions that was brought up, at either this board and the ZBA was the question of the grading on the back of the building. So we provided you with an alternate and what this wall would look like. The wall on the left corner of the building is about 12 feet, because that's the highest grade up near the buffer zone on that one side of the building. Other than that, it goes out, it's a 4-foot wall with a 6-foot wall, and then 4 foot and 4 foot. So it's not a big wall, it's a staggered wall with enough, it's 15 feet from the building and about 6 feet wide, and then down to the pond. The next slide, we looked at, can it be done with just straight grading down the hill? And it can be, it still has one wall in the corner to avoid going into the adjacent area of the wetlands. But in looking at it, in going through the talking with the architect, talking with the look, we really like the idea of the staggered wall. For plantings, you can set it better. This is a 2-to-1 slope. It's not as easily maintained. It doesn't provide the same access to the pond. If you slip one more, this is the idea of what we were looking. It is not rendered of that particular thing. It's just a company brochure of a staggered wall with the intent of what we're trying to achieve for plantings. It gives the back of the residents the upper side. There will be a fence at the top of that wall. It'll give them their little backyard area outside the building. And then it provides landscaping buffers as it goes down towards the property to the south. Different types of pre-manufactured gravity walls on the left. We haven't picked one entirely, but it's that same generalized look of what we're trying to achieve. So we wanted to just get the board's thoughts to that so we can finalize the direction and go. with that.
So again, these are the additional renderings that we have submitted, as a request from the last time we were in front of the board. This would be the winter and leaf off conditions as well as the night conditions, using north cut towards the, hybrids.
And as you can see there, it's nearly impossible to see the buildings through the trees, on that side.
And this is just another view from Maitland Drive backyard.
Because that's like 370 feet, I think, to go.
This is another thing that was requested from the last meeting, just a cross section showing the comparison of the height of the residential to the height of hybrid south. And again, height of the residential compared to the commons, wing B.
And both of those, and the way we've designed it is the shorter side of the buildings are the ones facing towards the residents. The two with the parking are facing to the wetlands to the south. If you're looking at the building on the right, Commons A, the highest point, which you see on the left here, is actually facing into the wetlands on the cross section. And then the two-story side of the building is what faces actually towards the residents' homes to the south at the property.
We do understand that raising the level of the ground doesn't change the real height of the building. If the Commons building is, let's say, 42 feet tall from the same flat point as 8 Glen Drive, bringing the hill up.
The hill's already there.
The hill's already there.
Yeah.
We're just putting it into the hill.
It's actually.
We're not building it for the height of the buildings at all.
And I think the one point that you, that I remember that you had said, Ken, is that when, at 8 Lake Drive, when you're at the top of the driveway, where the garage actually faces us, that's at the same level as the courtyard.
Correct.
Right?
Sure.
So that's their base, you know, of the actual
I guess
street on.
just concerns that I've heard, if you're putting the building into the hill. And it's standing at X height compared to 8 lengths, is there no way to maybe sink the building a little bit lower so that it doesn't sit up so high?
It's already in the ground. You have to get to it. So, because George Danskin's here and we're going uphill. So I'm only allowed a certain slope that I can drive the road up to allow 88 people to walk on it. It has to be 5% maximum slope. We can't go up 10 or 11% because it's not safe to drive up. We can dissect the road, which we've done in the site plan, if you go to the site plan. From the sidewalk to allow the road to come up 7 or 8%, to try and get the building up to match grades more so that you can push down on the other side to go down. So it's a push and pull, because remember, there's from George Sampson to the hill, it goes up pretty high. Differences in elevations. So what we've done is put them in. So if I push this building down, I still have a garage that when you walk out, comes out at the level of the other, so that one side is still tall. No matter how I push it in order to put the building in, one side of it has to be taller to get to the garage.
The east, well, the grade up part of the perimeter of the buildings are grade. So if you go lower, they start to be below grade, right? So then you have to put retaining walls there, which would create more disturbance. What is the percentage of?
Yeah, so I didn't submit it and I will. You can see it here and I can put it as part of the thing.
Don't get too much more in depth.
Yeah.
Answer the question.
Understood, but the blue, as you see on the perimeter, is all 30 feet in height. Only the green sections here and here are the 42 feet high. But overall, 72% of the building is still at 30 feet in height.
And that's, just to be clear, 30 feet from the, let's say, 10-foot.
Finished floor. Where you would walk out of the building the ground for how the height is measured.
Well, I'm just comparing it to like 8 length or whatever, say 8 length is at 0 and the hill goes up 10, and the building is 30 feet up from that 10.
So the height is measured from the average grade around it. I mean, that's how we measure height in the code. if we were looking at it that way, you'd have to say, well, the house all the way down at the beginning of Lent Drive, the Lent Drive house is 40 feet higher than that, so that's a 40-foot tall building. You know what I mean? If you were comparing it to down by Du Bois, if you're looking at the average grades, it's a grade around the building for a code and how you would measure height. That's how we've measured it. But to David's point is overall, the garage elevation for 8 Lent Drive is roughly the same elevation as this here. So this direction here, coming in on this side. So it's the same elevation as this whole side, which would be 30 feet. This side that faces down is taller, but it isn't the side that faces the residence.
Okay.
I hope that answers the question. Yeah. I think that's what we got.
Yeah.
Well said.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for entertaining that a lot of stuff.
A couple questions based on the public comment.
Yes,
The last meeting we were at, I suggested that you test people's well water before the construction as well as after in order to cover everybody, in order to make sure. And you said that you were gonna choose which houses might possibly be affected. Could you tell those people?
so I want to talk about that first.
Yes.
That's great, and I appreciate that, because we went so fast, I didn't really get to that, discussion. The environmental consultant there, PDEI, who submitted his report, and we did document that we are gonna do the next step. We're out doing additional tests to quantify the exact areas a little further so that we can do the soil remediation plan, that we have it. Arsenic that's been here has been here for over 100 years.
Right.
It has been, if it was gonna impact wells, it has long impacted them. That is there. It's a highly insoluble material, arsenic, and it binds to organics. It is not something that you typically find in groundwater where you pick it up and make it loose and it moves into groundwater. It stays with the dirt that's with it. The reason we do air monitoring, and that is during construction, that is the biggest impact,
Right.
is during construction.
Right.
The movement of soils isn't to release it into groundwater, but it's to release it into the air where you breathe it. So during construction, there's a monitoring plan, and we've done this on another property in the Hudson Valley recently, where we set up monitorings, that's real-time monitorings as their site moving. And that's all gonna be documented in a remedial plan that we put forth to the board. So you have documentation of it. And your environmental consultant Capital has already talked about that, and we kind of outlined what we were doing, and they were on the same page. Obviously have to see the document in its entirety, but that's real-time monitoring. So if the winds pick up and the monitor goes off, they shut down. You know what I mean? It is not something that is, hey, 3 days later, we had a problem with it yesterday. It is during construction, how it happens. That would be moved on site, capped on site, and left just the way it is today for the last 100 years. And it wouldn't be an issue. That all goes through the DEC for approval and goes through that process with them for their approval as well.
Okay.
I think it's really important to recognize too that the houses in the adjoining neighborhood were historically part of the same orchard. And
Yes.
so, you know, we believe, you know, it's more than probable that they had that soil has the same level of contamination. Because, you know, it's something that we live with in the Hudson Valley with, you know, orchards that were
Historic.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, there are other chemicals besides arsenic. And yeah, I saw them build, I watched that whole development go up, and I saw them when they dug the wells. And it was amazing how much slurry came up out of the ground and just went all through the woods when they dug the initial wells for the Lead Farms development. And the water was really sulfurous. So
And all of our activity, you know, we've done soils tests, we've done geo tests. We have not encountered groundwater in any of the soils anywhere near where we're working. Now, The shallow groundwater system usually is between 8 and 10 feet all over the place in different areas, but we did not encounter shallow groundwater in the areas where we know we're going to have impacts for the soils.
So two questions. One, Rachel, I just want to follow up, when you say that it was muddy and sulfurous, that wasn't necessarily toxic or toxins, because I mean, sulfur is a gas, it's not a
Right.
toxin.
No,
And I like sulfur water,
right.
so, but I just wanted to know that, and then the other thing is like, what, when we're saying we're not getting to the groundwater, it's just that the water table is not that high
So there's,
as part of the disturbance?
There was a wetland right near it and pond.
there is, but the soils are up and they're in wetlands for reasons. You know, this is a atypical wetland. It's on top of a hill. You know what I mean? Most of the wetlands are at the bottom, like you have where the Millbrook Preserve is. The upper wetland is held by, in there, there's soils up top that don't propagate permeability vertically, they propagate it horizontally, so that's why it sits. When you look at the elevation, it's relatively flat up on top. There's a hill from North Putt, it comes down and comes up and then goes back down to George Dancing. So that little valley is where the wetlands sit, up on the top of the hill. There is in the hill, because we've done geotech and work on the hill and soil tests for stormwater testing and everything like that. We haven't found groundwater in that initial surface of the 5 to 6 feet that we're working in where the impacted soils are. So we're moving the soils in areas that aren't going to be moving in a slurry of water. We're not going into the wetlands to look at what contaminated soils are in the soils that have been there for 100 years, where they are.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're not looking to chase this anywhere off the site. We're looking to work in only areas that we're disturbing and only areas that we have found through the testing of the whole entire area of our workload and say, oh, this area has testing and we have, okay, that goes to 2 feet. This one goes to 4 feet and it's a small area over here. That's the areas we're gonna go remove. Everything else is above standards and not impactful. It isn't the entire site that's contaminated. There are areas within it that are above exceedances that need to be dealt with accordingly.
Right. It's usually the way it is with
Yeah.
the contaminants. It's usually concentrated in areas like where they stored the chemicals
Yeah.
or along the rows where they sprayed the apples. So, yeah,
And as part of that plan, we have a detailed map of where all of it is, how it's being moved, where it's gonna be moved, and all that. To answer your question quick about the well, I believe what you found was typical drilling of the wells requires an auger in water. That water and auger produces a ground slurry of the rock that comes up.
right, it looks like cement.
Correct,
It's like silvery.
right, it is the ground rock that's being propagated to the surface, not a contaminant, not the quality of the water, it's actually the drilling process of that. And it's supposed to be captured and maintained, so it doesn't go into the wetlands, but it's all the different times. Now we know all these problems, so we maintain better.
Okay, while we're on the topic of environmental issues, did you have a chance to review our consultants, capital environmental consultants reports?
Yes.
And, were there any sections or recommendations that you object to or want to?
No, I think,
respond to?
no, I think, you know, they pointed out, they're looking for additional documentation on the soil remediation program and that, which we fully understand. You know, process wise, we didn't want to develop a mitigation plan on a project that we're not sure how it's going to sit on the site, because it's a different remediation plan for the specific project. As we're drilling down to the design, as where we are today, now we are in a position we feel to start looking at exactly how it gets remediated for our particular property. So the remediation plan would be specific to this site plan. Yeah, not a generic one that has to be figured out. So that's what we'll provide them next.
Understood.
In that process. One of the things I will point out that I don't agree with in the letter, but we're working through is
he is not incorrect in his statement that we have a jurisdictional determination that's in the plans for wetlands that shows the 100-foot adjacent areas to that, to those DEC as per the rules when we got that 6 months ago. Being that the rules for the wetland determination have been revoked from the DEC through an Article 78 and a loss in the court system, that the rules have reverted to the original regulations, not the most current one that we did our mapping. Based on that regulation, all the wetlands don't require buffers or adjacent areas. We're getting confirmation and working through the DEC. It doesn't change our development. All it would mean was that now we don't have to stay 100 feet away from all the wetlands. We could have developed closer to them. But Woodland doesn't want to do any of that. We don't want to change development. It's not going to change, make the project better. We feel it's still protecting the environment in the best ways we can. So that's where we're continuing down that same path.
Sure, the law always lags at least 20 or 30 years behind the science.
This one we had and then went back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, now it's
Yeah.
gone backwards even worse, but you know.
Right.
He does point out though.
Yes.
He's got a footnote about the.
Correct. And he's not wrong. The map in front of you that is signed by the DEC has 100-foot buffers. And we're holding to
I
that.
mean, I guess the
Yeah.
question is there a harm to 100-foot versus a 50-foot buffer? I mean, it's a bigger buffer.
Very volunteer.
No, it's
Right.
voluntary.
If they're volunteering, there's no harm.
And the only thing
It's
it
just
changes,
one- But we don't have to keep belaboring it that way.
no, the only thing it changes is if we need an actual permit for the hybrid connection to the other side. If there's no buffer there, there's no DEC permit to go through that for the connection. That's the only thing different. It still allows us to do the work. The DEC, we've had preliminary discussions, they were fine with it with our mitigation, we're moving concrete out of the buffer areas and other areas. We're doing all the things that we're supposed to, we're fixing the the salamander crossings, all those things. It just changes, do we actually need a DEC to check the box of a permit or not? Still doing all the things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Training on that.
Um,
It's all.
Mike, do you want to, was there anything else in the environmental,
No,
report that
I
you wanna
think they did
highlight?
a very good job and, then Pete points out a number of things.
Okay, yeah, let's move through
yeah.
that.
Um, and then I did get a response back from the fire chief if you want to cover that after Pete.
Wasn't the fire chief like, I need more information to?
Yeah, well, we reached out to county and there's nowhere in Ulster County that has a underground parking facility for us to look at as an example. And he wants to do a little more research. We're gonna try to reach out to Orange and Dutchess and see if we can find examples of other fire districts who have that situation. And any concerns that they may or may not have had.
The city of,
Yeah.
Poughkeepsie does.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had a couple projects.
So, but this would be a first of its type in Ulster County, and being that it's approximately a 30-member district, he just wants to make sure that he's covered in terms of firefighting capabilities, so.
And just for the board's information as well, because it was asked that the fire rating and all that is it's concrete deck with a minimum of a 1-hour rating on the floor before the residential. And it also will be fully sprinklered underneath garage. So, you know, as far as that goes within the town, or in the village, it's way advanced. Not all the buildings are sprinkled. So it is fully sprinkled basement as well as the residential floors. And there's a full hour separation in per code.
And I take it the fire chief's aware of the sprinkler in the garage?
He is, it's on the plan and we talked about it, but we'll make sure.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe sharing, some of those Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll pass on that information.
He doesn't especially have any specific concerns, but he just wants to be sure before he issues any comments. He does a little more research to make sure he's, commenting appropriately. Sure.
Did the fire department already sign off on the emergency access from George Danscombe Way?
I sent him the whole set and I'll confirm with him. I mean, he's aware of the proposal
And I met with him on site with the highway super before we even went down this, and they were
Okay.
agreeable then.
Great.
One of his important things was exactly what you said, Nikki, it was not a key to walk through, it was a click to enter entrance, so that they can pull up, hit the gate and go
Yeah.
through, but it's only for their
It's
frequency.
a frequency through the
Correct,
Yeah.
the radios.
through the radio system.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have that in writing from him.
Well, I mean, if you look at the route they would take, they'd go on cut corners anyhow, wouldn't they?
Possibly,
So close.
they might, it would depend, if they were going to the southern, to this proposed facility, they might go the other way.
Gives them multiple means of access, depending on how they want it.
But mostly, it's ambulances. So the ambulance
Ambulance would probably go through the main.
main
exit,
gate,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna
because
say,
that would come to the front door, so to speak.
especially if it's once a week, I would say. Or you're down to once a week now instead of twice a week.
Yeah.
As far as peaks comments go, Mr. Chairman, we had no exception to that. We've reviewed, there are some stormwater details, to finalize through that, but they're not anything substantial in changing of the design. It's just a matter of everything, dotting i's and crossing t's on the whole stormwater design. We have met the pre-post requirements, so we're not proposing any off-site impacts of storm that would be more than what it is today. We're actually reducing all storm events off-site by treating as much as we can on-site.
Okay.
Have we requested that the ambulance squad give us a written comment on this project?
I don't believe.
And I
We
recommend,
have it at this time.
we do that.
Would you like to make a motion?
I had one more comment that hasn't been addressed, that came up last time. And that was that, given that you have limited beds and this is a continuing care retirement. What is the impact of adding 81 units for which those people will need some step down? Is this going to require an expansion to the critical, all the other
Yeah,
facilities?
no, it's a great question, actually. So this is on the front of our planning as well. At present, we deal with actuaries who, can't
Yes.
project.
I've dealt with many of them.
Oh, okay. And we're still in conversations with DOH about how many beds there would be. We anticipate there will be an increase in the number of beds. And so that's part of this this calculation, essentially. So that would be, none of that, all of this development is independent living. If there's additional beds, that's at the current health centre. And of course, in our original application, we allowed for that
Some expansion to that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Yep, there was approval in that as a phase 4 expansion to the.
It's very, very big piece for us.
All right,
You want to make a motion to loop the ambulance squad on?
yeah, if that requires a motion, could I get a motion to refer this to the emergency services for comment?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Yeah.
And we haven't heard anything back at all from DPW, county DPW, so I suggested to Ken that he reach out directly to them. Sometimes we find
We get a better
they'll
response.
respond better directly to the applicants than just referrals, so.
Is that because north is?
It's a county road.
County.
Yeah, so what we are planning to do, at this point is submitting an application for the permit. That forces their hand to review and give us their comments. we've met all the site distances, all the requirements that they have. It's just a matter of going through the process with them.
If they get a preliminary application, then they'll respond to that.
Correct.
But they, just request for comments, fall by the wayside.
Okay, I see on here, you also suggested referring revised application to other interested involved agencies, which other?
We pretty much have covered all those at this point, I mean.
Yeah, I didn't know if we sort of did it a la carte.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't send the latest, you know, the round one and round two. This last set of submissions was more just finer details, so I haven't
Yeah.
sent that to every agency. I don't know, we didn't get comments back from any of them on the first two times, really.
okay.
Other than the seeker submittal that we did get a couple of responses back,
Mhm.
so. The fire chief is easy because he sits right here.
Sure. Sure.
So, and that's one of the more. The DPW ultimately is the one too.
It might be worth sending them, considering it sounds like this is probably the final revision,
Yeah.
or at least substantial revision. I mean, then maybe
To
two.
Well, when we-
Like,
to who?
the involved agencies that you said got they got an earlier version, is that right?
No, they got the reduced height version.
Oh, okay. So
They got round two.
Okay,
They haven't gotten this last submittal.
okay, then, yeah, this
Yeah, I
one.
didn't circulate this
Okay.
last submittal because it was mostly the same.
Yeah,
It was just some finer details.
okay, yeah, that's probably fine.
Do we have a liaison to the village board? Because I noticed since Bill was gone, Bill went to the county, there's never been
We
not.
do, it's Rich Soto. He
Oh,
checks in with me.
Oh, he just checks in with
He's
you.
not able to come to the meetings.
I see.
I think he watches. I don't want to speak for him, but
Mhm.
he does check in with me and makes a report back to the village board.
Hmm.
I know Bill chose to with that.
Realized we didn't weigh in on this. The stepped versus sloping, I mean, I personally like the idea of having these stepped retaining walls with landscaping in between. I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
Yeah, I agree with that. Pink weighed in as well with their comments about it.
Great, yeah.
I don't know which material you want, I don't have a preference.
It's all a concrete gravity wall, it's just a matter of which block face and,
Something that looks like the Schwanggunks.
yeah.
Interesting.
Um,
That would be something they can hold on to.
And the good part is it's 4 feet, so it's not a tall, it's, you know, the one section is 12 feet. That's the tallest section.
So I think now we're at the point where we could, divide up some of these sections of the FEAF part 2 for our next meeting. We're not gonna go through this all tonight, but, want to give the board an opportunity to, read through any of these reports and, we'll fill this section in, next time. Mike has already gone through and marked which which sections have no impact. So-
Yeah, except that after tonight's meeting, number 4 should change from those, yes. So,
Okay. Yeah, so if we could just go through these quickly and each take
I'll take all
4 or
the
5. And then go through the yeses, so number 1, impact on lands.
I can do
Why don't we just sort of go round robin, so that Terry, you got 1, Duncan, you get 3.
and check me if you agree with my no, that's just my opinion, but.
Yes.
I'll take 4.
4. I agree, 5 is no. I agree that 6 is no. And so I will take 7, impact on plants and animals. 8 is no. impact on aesthetic resources. Rachel, would you like to take that one, or you wanna switch with me?
I'll switch with you. I'll take plants and animals. So, also, I'm not calling the Zoom for that one. I have to leave this weekend, so we can go again.
Well, if you can't make the meeting, that's fine, you can just share your.
Yeah,
Your
you
notes with us.
You can zoom in, that's fine. You're
Yeah,
allowed to.
I'll zoom in.
So Zach, you're gonna take 7?
I'm gonna take 9, Rachel's
Or
gonna
9,
take 7, yeah.
Yeah.
Historic and archaeological resources, no. Open space and recreation, no. Critical environmental areas, so that's a no, and then we are back to yes for Terry.
I'll do it.
Do
Yeah.
Transportation, Duncan, energy,
I'll do noise, order and light.
okay. And I will look at human health.
I just want to point out, this is the new and improved FEF, the 2006 version, because it went from 18, or not 17 to 19 questions. There's 2 new ones.
Okay. Well.
Oh, I'm sorry, 20.
Consistency with community plans, that's no impact. And then, Rachel, would you be able to take 18? Yeah. Community character.
Okay.
And then 19 and 20. I agree with both, no impact.
Yeah, the community plans one, because this is allowed in the zoning district. And most of, if you check yes, the questions are all about zoning, so that was my reasoning for checking no on it.
Yeah, I
Maybe
agree
it's
with
a
that.
disagreement.
And next time we can look over the narrative, especially this.
I
narrative.
apologize, I missed, who's taking 16 human health?
I think that might be me.
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
and then the last one's Rachel, so we
Yeah.
get to
The last one, oh, keep the climate list?
the community character.
Oh,
yeah, both of these are no, so
I'm sorry.
you're gonna take, with this.
So a couple other just really quick things. Would we be able to set a public hearing? Would be one question. So. You would ask. Or the last agenda.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I mean, I do think that it would be useful to start that process. I'd like to have it open for at least 2 meetings, so I would be comfortable opening the public hearing next time. Yeah, I don't think we're waiting on anything major, so could I get a motion to set the public hearing for July 7th?
So, second.
All in favor?
And then the last thing would be the referral to county planning. We still did.
This would be a good time to do it, because if you don't do it this meeting, then it won't get reviewed by them until August.
Okay. Yeah, could I get a motion to refer the application to Ulster County Planning Board?
So
All in favor? All right, so
Who seconded, Rachel, did you say? I'm sorry.
No.
Duncan, thank you.
They're making it all very consistent, so.
2.
And that meeting for the county is July 1st, so,
First,
it's the first Wednesday in, which I think is the first.
thank you.
Thank you.
Could I get a motion to adjourn?
Aye.
All in favor?
Sorry.